Hey there berries, welcome to a pretty special video. This is, as you can probably tell by the title and the splash art, that this is a Seraphine champion reveal video. We've been given exclusive access by Riot to dish out the deets as soon as possible, with the embargo being lifted. So some things to throw out just before we get into the details. Seraphine is a new champion coming into League of Legends. Some of you might have been aware about this new champion because of the whole Twitter social media account that she had, going pretty popular and viral. The champion, as you're probably maybe expecting that she's going to be a mage, but honestly she's more looking like a support rather than an actual mage for mid lane. Or maybe even like an AP carry bot side. We'll look at those abilities a little bit later on in the video. If you just want to skip ahead and then maybe come back, have a look at the timestamps under the video or down below in the bar. One of those should say abilities, and then you can hop back to this if you are still interested in seeing what Seraphine's all about after you've seen those abilities. So going straight off here, this is like the official document I've been given by Riot about her first skin coming into the game. As most of you may know, she is part of KDA, or will be part of KDA. I'm assuming there's going to be another announcement for that for Worlds, but she's in KDA and she's getting her first skin that's going to be released. It's going to be an ultimate skin, and it's basically 3 skins in one, which is kind of crazy. Probably more skins than Ornn already. Yeah, so to get into the nitty-gritty details, it's about 3,250 RP for the ultimate skin if you wish to buy it. And there are 3 skins. So you start off with one skin, an indie skin, and then you'll move on once you've completed some missions in the game. So presumably it's like play Seraphine and do blah blah blah, then it'll upgrade to a 2nd tier skin and then into the final form of KDA. So if we have a look at that into the article, it goes through. If you want to pause the video and read some of this text, you're more than welcome to. It's just them talking about, they're making an ultimate skin. They haven't made one for ages. I think the last one was Misfortune, and that was a bit, not particularly one of the Riot's best skins that they've released particularly for an ultimate skin. So this is what she's going to look like in game from the first form. So when you buy the ultimate skin, this is what she's going to look like. Once you complete a few more missions into the game, she'll then be evolved from the indie skin into the rising star, looking a bit more fancy, looking a bit more special. And then finally, her final form, once you complete a few more missions after that, is the Seraphine Superstar KDA All-Out skin. So yeah, I mean, she looks pretty good. The hair, I like the hairstyle. It's giving me like Zoe vibes, like adult Zoe vibes maybe, and also some Sona vibes as well with the speakers. A lot like the Sona Ultimate skin, actually. Those speakers remind me of on her piano or keyboard or whatever you want to call it that she has. So yeah, definitely get some Sona vibes. And then honestly, in some of her abilities, there seems to be a fair amount of Sona inspiration in that as well. I think from what I've seen already of Seraphine, it's unlikely that Sona will ever get a rework, purely because this seems like the next kind of step of Sona, which you'll see in a second once we go through the abilities. But yeah, I mean, it is an ultimate skin. It is 3,250 RP. You also will get a couple of these extra things here as well. You get an emote and 2 icons and a border. We'll have to wait and see what the animations are. I'm presuming that it's not only 3 skins in one. You can maybe there'll be some flashy spell animations there, but you are effectively paying 3,250 RP for 3 skins. And you can choose which skin you want to play in your game as well. So you can only obviously play the indie skin at the very start. But if you unlock some new missions and you decide you don't like the Rising Star one, you can go back to the indie version if you want to. You can choose in champion selection which skin you wish to activate. We can have a look at the splash arts here as well if you like. We've got this is the base. That's what her base skin looks like. Honestly, that looks pretty good as a splash art already, but that's the base one. So if you don't buy the skin. This is the first form. This is the indie splash art for Seraphine. And then moving on to the second one. I think this one is it Rising Star? I've already forgotten the name of it. My apologies. And then you got the final form here of the KDA full-on version if you complete all the missions for Seraphine. So yeah, very pretty splash arts. Wouldn't be surprised. This isn't confirmation or anything. This is like me, wouldn't be surprised saying like, seeing a prestige version of this skin. Wouldn't be surprised eventually to see a gold version of this, honestly. It would probably look quite nice in gold, but we never know. Riot will do whatever they want in order to make as much money from this, I'm sure. But I wouldn't be surprised to see a gold version of this in the future. Now let's have a look at some of the abilities. Now, you'll probably see a lot of Sona kind of esque things going on here, as I mentioned earlier with how she's quite similar to Sona. So if we look at another article here. So here we have the article on her abilities, and I've got videos as well linked up to this as well. So we have Seraphine's passive is every third basic ability. I wonder what other champion is very similar to this with music as well. So every third basic ability Seraphine casts will echo, automatically casting a second time. Additionally, whenever she casts an ability nearby an ally, she will create a note. Each note gives her basic attacks more attack range and deal additional magic damage, consuming the note. We can have a look at this now, and there's some things I want to talk about this that I've noticed in the video after looking at it a couple of times. So if we have a look at the passive here coming up. I'll replay this a couple of times because there's some things that we need to talk about here. When she gets her passive ready, it does the double cast. So that's the first cast, second cast, and that's a double cast because of a passive. On the third cast, she gets to do a double attack. Now notice as she's using her different abilities here, every ally that she affects as well also gets one of these notes, these little diamonds here. There's one above my head as well. Now I don't know if there's a cap on how many notes you can have, but from this video it's assuming that it's 4. So you do, say for example, you do Q, W, and then E, and then the E would be like a double cast, and then you would get 4 notes from that. So you can see now both Seraphine and the Leona here in this case both have 4 notes each, so there's 8 notes in total. And then as Seraphine does an auto attack over, it consumes all of the notes on both players and uses it onto the LeBlanc. And those notes do magic damage and give Seraphine extended range. I'm assuming that's the base skin there, by the way, as well. So we can have a look at that in real time one more time, and then we'll have a look at the other abilities. It is very Sona-esque, isn't it? That you have to do 3 casts with one of your basic attacks, and then your auto attack is augmented. Very, very similar to Sona. So now we have her Q called High Note. Seraphine projects a pure note dealing magic damage that increased by the target's missing health percentage. So you know, the less health the enemy has, the stronger this ability will do. We don't have any numbers here at the moment to work with, but we can have a look at the ability here in action. So it seems to have a pretty decent AoE. Not sure on the range, but that's a double cast, isn't it? There with the Q, with the passive. Without passive, with passive. It looks a little bit like Nico, but way bigger. Alright, let's have a look at the next ability here. We got the W. Surround sound. Seraphine surrounds her nearby allies in a song, granting herself and her allies movement speed and a shield. If Seraphine is already shielded, she can heal her nearby allies, restoring health based on how many allies are near her. Now I have some questions based on this ability already. If Seraphine is already shielded, for example, does that include other shields that you could get potentially from an ally? Could we see like a Lux Seraphine bot lane where the Seraphine would be able to heal every time that she receives a shield from the Lux? It's not clear here. Hopefully we'll get some actual numbers and more detailed information on that, but that's something to think about because you know, Lux and Sona, for example, are very popular in the bot lane. But all of the, as you can see, all of these abilities seem to be augmenting allies and affecting allies more. So this is why I'm leaning more towards, she seems more like a support potential, whether or not it's like an AP support, but we're heading into that sort of like direction at least anyway. We can have a look at that W as well. So that's with one cast, and that's with the passive. A bit of a delayed heal there as well, it seems. So that's just a shield, and then shield, and then a delayed heal. But it does seem AoE, and it gives all allies movement speed as well, so it's like a Sona EW in one ability, basically. Yeah. Sona mains might be a bit mad after this, we'll see. So we've got her E ability now. Seraphine unleashes a heavy sound wave, dealing magic damage to enemies in a line and slowing them. Enemies that are already slowed are rooted, and already rooted enemies are stunned. So once again, there seems to be interaction here with allies, making it seem once again that Seraphine could be decent in the bot lane, whether as an AP carry or as a support. So if an enemy is already rooted, say for example, you're playing with a Lux, you can actually effectively stun them. Now, if the enemy is already rooted, say by a Lux binding, I'm assuming from this description here that it won't require your actual passive to be ready in order to stun them. And if they are stunned already, will that also re-stun them? Potentially here. I'm getting that sort of feeling here that maybe there could be some chain crowd control happening here. But we can have a look at the ability coming through here on the video. So that's them being rooted, but unfortunately we don't actually get to see them stunned because Seraphine, she would need effectively here a Lux binding on both of these champions here for her to stun one. It's a shame they haven't showed that. So as you can see, without her passive, it seems like quite a strong slow. It's like at least 50%, maybe even stronger. Maybe even more like 75%. That root doesn't seem to last too long though, if you have a look at it again, off the passive cast. It seems to be about 1 second. So not too long. So if you have got tenacity boots, I don't think you'll be crowd controlled too much there. I'm assuming then also the stun is probably the same duration as the root would be otherwise. So the stun is probably not going to be too crazy. It'd probably be a 1 second stun. Probably. I don't have the exact numbers here, but you know, hi. We'll have a look at her ultimate now, her encore. Don't forget that the passive only affects QWE, so it won't affect the ultimate here in this case, so you won't get a double cast on ulti. So Seraphine takes the stage, projecting a captivating voice that charms enemies and deals magic damage. Any champion struck, allies included, become part of the performance, extending the range of the ability and granting allies maximum notes. Now they haven't said what maximum notes is in the passive, but I'm assuming it's 4 from what we saw in the passive video earlier, but it could be higher than that. So we can actually let's have a look at the video and it will explain it more clearly than I could probably explain. Let me hide my camera here. So it doesn't show us the range without an ally cast, and I think from here it is 4 notes is the maximum. I think you can see there's one hiding just behind the Leona there. Also, one thing to take note, it doesn't give Seraphine max notes, it only gives allies max notes. So the further you are in the backline in a team fight, ulting people, you're going to be able to get maximum notes off allies via that method. We don't know the range on this without an ally in front, so Seraphine, I'm assuming, is ulting in the line, and then because it hits the Leona here, it gets extended. I'm assuming if it hits more allies, it goes further forward. But the charm there does seem like more like a 2-second duration there. It does seem like a pretty strong charm. Once again, we don't get to see the actual numbers though, whether or not the charm duration increases per level, or the actual damage of the ultimate itself. But you know, it seems like another okay crowd control ability, but once again, whether or not for mid or not, I'm having my doubts, because once again, you know, this is something that you would like to do if, say, if you're an AP carry mage in the bot lane and you, I think this is probably why they're showing Leona. Actually, I've only just realized that the more I'm seeing of this, the more she's seeming like an AP mage in the bot lane, specifically for bot lane, and then you're using your abilities to bounce off your support, in this case a melee, so that they will initiate the fight, they will go in, then they'll root the target, then you can then stun them via your E, and then get an extended ult cast as well with your ultimate. So from the way I'm looking at this from a bot lane support main, it's seeming like an AP carry, probably more so than a support or a mid laner. But you know, I'm sure people will be playing this in different roles for the next couple of weeks when she does get released. It's not coming out this Wednesday, it's coming out in the next patch after that, I believe. I think I can get the exact patch for you here, but you know, it is seeming like a bot lane mage type of champion. Hello, bouncing back in here. I think if I scroll down here, I think we will get it. Yes, you guys can't see it, but it says Seraphine is going to be released in patch 10.22. Well, that's all the information I have on Seraphine. I hope it makes you excited, particularly, you know, most of the people that watch my content are support mains, so being able to potentially play her support, or, you know, getting to interact with her if she is in the AP carry role, it's going to be super interesting. Let me know in the comments section down below if you feel like this is what the Sona, you know, if Sona got revamped, would this be the champion that they would turn into? Because I'm getting a lot of Sona vibes here, a lot of them, and you know, if Seraphine ends up being a support, like at what point would you justify playing Sona over this champion potentially? Not so sure exactly. But we'll be playing some Seraphine when she comes out on the PBE for sure, and in the solo queue games as well. And I hope you guys look out for those videos and enjoy them when I release them. If you like this video, thumbs up, that helps me out a lot. consider subscribing, particularly if you like support content. If you like TFT as well, we've got a Bizzleberry TFT channel where I upload almost daily TFT videos on that channel. And have a very awesome day. Take care, chat, and see you for another video tomorrow.